Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in because today we are unpacking a classic, incredibly actionable blueprint for personal and financial growth. Seriously, if you're looking to completely transform your life, your mindset, and your lifestyle, you are in the exact right place. We're going to break down some incredibly powerful concepts that can quite literally shift your entire trajectory.
So let's kick things off with a massive thought experiment just to challenge your baseline assumptions about wealth. Picture this for a second. What happens if someone hands you $1 million, just drops it right in your lap? Most of us think, well, all our problems are permanently solved, right? But life has a strange way of working, and history shows us a very different reality.
The absolute truth of the matter is, it is best you become a millionaire quickly, or that money is going to disappear. Why? Because income rarely far exceeds your level of personal development. Sometimes, sure, income takes a lucky jump, but you can bet that unless you grow out to where that money is, it's usually going to come right back down to where you are. In fact, it's often said that if you took all the money in the entire world and divided it equally among everybody, it would very quickly end up back in the exact same pockets.
Which brings us to a huge paradigm shift: pursuing success versus attracting success. You know, most people spend their whole lives desperately chasing after success. But success is actually something you attract, not something you pursue. You attract it by working on yourself, by committing to personal development. True happiness and real success, they aren't contained in what you get. They're contained in what you become.
Okay, so how do we become the kind of person who naturally attracts success? Here is the roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll cover the rule of wealth. Then, step 1, finding ideas. Step 2, taking action. Step 3, trust the system. And finally, we'll look at your next 5 years.
Part 1, the rule of wealth. The main takeaway here, work on yourself.
Moving on to step 1, finding ideas. This is all about discovering exactly how things work.
If you want to genuinely change your life, you first have to figure out how things actually work, because there is not a single thing in this world an idea cannot change. There's this brilliant anecdote from the source material about a mentor named Mr. Schwaff. The speaker goes to Mr. Schwaff and says, "I don't have any money," truly believing that was the core problem holding him back. And Schwaff just looks at him and replies, "That's not a problem. The problem is a lack of an idea on how to create money and wealth." It's never a lack of money, folks. It's a lack of ideas. Get the ideas, and you can change absolutely anything.
So how do we capture and actually use these ideas? You use a journal for repetition, repetition, repetition. Seriously, do not use your head as a filing cabinet. When you find out something that works, write it down in a journal. Go over it constantly. Because if you repeat it enough, some mysterious day that idea takes root, it starts to grow, and it magically shows up in your bank account, your personality, and your lifestyle.
Look, don't just go through your day with your fingers crossed, leaving your life up to chance. You have to make success a deliberate study. And there are 3 very specific, practical ways to find these life-changing ideas. Read, listen, and observe. Let's break these down one by one. First up, let's talk about reading. When it comes down to it, standard education gets you standard results. If you want to go beyond the standard, you've got to become self-educated. Learning from your own mistakes is great, but learning from other people's experiences, that is a literal superpower. Reading one single book might save you 5 whole years of stumbling around in the dark. Hundreds of successful people have literally written their stories down, detailing exactly how they did it, and yet, incredibly, most people just refuse to read them.
And the magic number you really need to remember here is 30. Put this in your notes. I challenge you to spend exactly 30 minutes every single day reading something positive, challenging, inspirational, or instructional. You don't have to stay up half the night reading, but you absolutely must carve out at least 30 minutes a day to become a good reader.
Okay, let's move to the second method. Listen. And this brings up a pretty hilarious but profound irony regarding $100. The source notes that one of the absolute best pieces of advice out there is that poor people ought to take rich people out to dinner and just listen. But the irony is, poor people usually refuse to do this. They'll say, "Well, he's rich, let him buy his own dinner. I'm not spending my money on him." But think about it for a second. If you spend $50, $80, or $100 to buy a highly successful person a full 9-course dinner and just get them to talk for 2 hours, they are liable to drop ideas right in your lap that could literally multiply your income.
Which brings us to the third method: observe. Success leaves clues. If you manage to get around successful people, watch them closely. Watch how they shake hands, watch how they respond to others. People who do well in life do certain things over and over again.
Honestly, if a guy is making $10,000 a month, I would watch him so closely I'd even copy his funny little walk. People might say it's a silly walk, but you can just confidently reply, "Hey, it's a $10,000 walk. I haven't got the money yet, but I've got the walk down." The point is, you have to start somewhere. Be an unusual, careful observer.
But to be a truly great observer, you have got to understand the massive distinction between sight and insight. Sight is just merely seeing things with your eyes. Insight is seeing with your mind. If you just look with your eyes, you'll see things, sure, but if you put your mind to work and pay deep, focused attention, you will see the actual answers. Wherever you are, be there completely. Pay attention and don't miss a thing.
All right, step 2, taking action. Time to go to work.
So you've found the ideas, you've listened, you've observed. Now, how do you actually take action? First, master the little disciplines. And second, build muscle for the big challenges. You have to start by making a list of the small things you can do right now, and get right on those. You do this both for the immediate results and to build up your mental muscle in practice. Because listen, if you don't discipline yourself to handle the small challenges, you absolutely will not have the muscle ready when life inevitably hands you the massive ones.
You must accept this undeniable truth. Self-motivation is the only kind there is. Waiting around hoping someone else is going to come by and magically inspire you is a fool's game. What if they never show up? You have to have a better plan for your life than that. You have to motivate yourself. And remember, learning must lead to action. If you let your learning merely lead to knowledge, you'll just become an educated fool. But if you let your learning lead to action, that is how you become wealthy.
Step 3. Trust the system. Don't try to beat the system.
Now this is a pretty stark warning for all the highly ambitious people out there. Cheap answers equal a cheap life. Do not try to beat the system. People so often learn just enough to start slicing the truth, thinning it out, cutting corners, and looking for cheap, easy answers. Don't fall for that. Find out how something works best and do it exactly that way. Doing things right is non-negotiable even if it seems to take a little longer. Never compromise with what's right. Finally, your next 5 years. It's time to face the reality. We've covered the whole blueprint, and now I want to speak directly to you about your immediate future. Think about where you were 5 years ago, leading to tomorrow, which is what we call choice time, leading to 5 years from now. Here's the harsh, unavoidable reality of the situation. If you don't do something starting tomorrow that will make a difference, guess what? It's going to be exactly the same. You can easily predict what your next 5 years will look like simply by looking at your last 5. The next 5 will perfectly mirror the last 5 unless you make a major choice tomorrow to change it all. It is choice time. Which brings us to our final, provocative challenge for this explainer. What are you going to do starting tomorrow that will actually make a difference? You don't ever have to be the same again after today, but only by choice. I challenge you right now to reach down deep inside yourself and come up with some more of those remarkable human gifts that are just sitting there, waiting to be utilized. Pick an entirely new direction for your life. Because the incredible truth is, any day you wish, you can change it all.